This technical update builds on the Apex overview by giving an overview of Apex reports. In this presentation, we'll begin by looking at the Apex report information sources. Then we'll look at the three types of reports you can get from Apex. Next, we'll contrast Apex reports with those you can get from Unisys Security Client. Finally, we'll introduce the Apex report execution settings that let you control the scope and time frame of the reports.
You've seen this diagram before showing the three-tiered architecture for Apex. Today we're going to take a look at what the Apex OS 2200 agent uses as its information sources. The primary one is the security database. Another is the accounting database. These are files on OS 2200. Some of the reports go to the system log, and if you have used the IRU to save the system log, you can also use the system log backups that you've created as sources of information for Apex reports.
Apex reports support monitoring for defense in depth and compliance with policies and regulations. They also provide general information.
One type of report is those that are based on logs. These are ones we might classify as defense in-depth reports. Login failures is one of these, and you can see that you can look at all of the failures, or you can group it by users with failures. Another is the modified users report. If somebody has modified a user, for example, to give additional security privileges, you'd like to know when that happened, what happened, and who made the modification. A third type of log-based report is the privilege escalation report that tells you who did the escalation and when it happened. These are reports that have no parallels in either Simon or Security Client. They are similar to information that you could get from the log analyzer, but then you'd have to create a way of looking through them conveniently, which we provide as part of Apex. Another type of report is the type that monitors compliance with security policies. For example, you might like to know which users have not logged on in a long time. That's the dormant users report. If somebody's creating new users, perhaps this is in or out of compliance with your security policy. And for passwords, the Apex password report doesn't tell you the passwords and doesn't tell you how strong they are, because that information is lost after the passwords are encrypted. But it does tell you whose passwords have expired, are due to expire, are using custom age limits, or haven't been changed since the user ID was created. The third type of report that Apex can give you is something we might call general information reports, and these have direct analogs in Security Client and Simon.
Next, we'll see that in contrast with reports from Unisys Security Client, Apex reports are delivered automatically and can be viewed dynamically. Let's look at running a report with Security Client, which is the Windows-based FAT client that comes with Unisys Security Administration.
You can run the report and you'll see a window that looks like this pop up. There's a button on it that you keep clicking to say refresh the status, and it'll go back to the host and see if anything's ready yet. When it's finally done, this window will change to the one you see now, and then you can click View Report to bring up the report in a text editor on your Windows machine. Here's a sample of the Security Client User ID summary. With Apex, you specify the settings and press the Run button, and you're notified of the progress until the report is done, at which point the summary window pops up as you see here.
Here's the Summary tab of the Apex User Summary report.
If you click on the Enabled Users tab, you'll see a display that looks like this. Each line includes a user ID, the administrative role, and the last use of that user ID. You can sort the data by clicking on any of the column headings. There are a couple of ways of getting more detail about a user that's in the report. One of them is to click on the plus sign next to the user's name. It turns into a minus sign and then gives you a few more details. Another is to click the name of the user, and that'll bring up the user record, which lets you see everything about the user's security attributes. In this case, we see from the high-level summary that this user hasn't been active since 2002. We might want to consider disabling him, and if we want to, we can do it very simply by clicking the Disable User button here on this record.
Apex reports let you specify the data you're interested in through execution settings. You can include or exclude disabled or deleted users, and then for ACRs, accounts, groups, or user IDs, which are the general information reports, you can select using regular expressions or by naming the objects you're interested in. You can choose them from a system-generated list, and you can apply a filter when selecting from that system-generated list. You can specify a range of times and dates for the log-based reports and others. You can specify the log file to process. You can also select ACRs by the type of access control functions they include, and you can select user groups based on their owners or members.
Apex reports can also choose to include or exclude disabled and deleted users. There are checkboxes to let you select that easily. And once you've done that, you can look at those separately from the enabled users.
When you select using regular expressions, the default is to select all of the particular object type, whether it's ACRs, accounts, groups, or users. If you want to narrow that down, such as selecting only users containing the letters API, you can put that into the regular expression field. Now in this case, since the selection is done as a substring search, it will find any user IDs that include the letters API, whether they're at the beginning, end, or middle. But suppose you wanted to only select the ones that begin with a certain letter like G and end with another letter like A. To do that, you can anchor the selection at the beginning and end. So the caret here says that the following letters has to be the first one in the string. The period represents any character. The asterisk says 0 or more of those. And then the A followed by a $sign says that this is what you want the string to end with. And using that selection, you might end up with a set of users such as the ones here. There are other selections also available, and the Apex help gives good examples of these. You can have a choice of things that are within square brackets. A plus sign means to pick one or more of the preceding character. A question mark means 0 or 1 of the preceding character. A number range is indicated by square brackets with numbers with a dash in between them, and a letter range is specified by a set of letters with a dash in between them. The Apex help has more information about regular expressions. The defense in depth and compliance reports let you specify a list of user IDs to exclude from the report because they're not of interest at this time. If you see a line like this with a magnifying glass on the right, click on the magnifying glass and you'll be given a selection of system-generated users so that you don't have to type them in manually. You can also do this for the general information report to include objects of a particular type. If the list is long, such as this one that has 2027 entries in it, you can apply a filter to narrow it down to the ones that you're interested in.
When you apply a filter, the users that show up in the selected list are those that begin with the character string that's in the filter. Here, for example, the filter included all users whose names began with a hyphen. We've used Shift Select in order to select all 27 of the users that met this criterion. And then we've moved them over to the right-hand side, the selected list. That will allow them to be added to the list of users that were already selected for those that will either be included or excluded depending on the type of report we have. You can also specify the start or ending time for reports that include login failures, modified users, new users, and privilege escalations. And as you can see here, you can pick them from a calendar, which is sometimes very convenient. There's also a special thing that you can do that says, I want to run a set of reports and not miss anything that's in the log file. So I want to run from when I previously ended and then end the current report with now, meaning the time at which I press the run button. For the Apex reports that are based on log data, you can get information from the current system log or on system log backups that you've put on disk or saved on tape. You can tell Apex which log location to use, system, alternate file, or tape. If it's alternate file, then you name the file, and if it's tape, then you specify both the tape name and the tape type.
When running the Access Control Records report, you can specify additional selection criteria beyond the name of the access control record to include the owners, type of access, and conditions specified in the access control functions. The groups report settings include specifying the groups using a regular expression or a list, and then saying which owners and members you're interested in. There's also a setting called Include Full Lineage. If you run a report without full lineage checked, you'll get the list of the immediate parents and the immediate members of the group. But as you can see from this display of the group hierarchy, this is at level 3, as it says in the details description, and there are groups above it and members below it in the hierarchy. If you'd like to see those, select Include Full Lineage, and then the details page will go all the way up the top of the tree for the parents and all the way down to the bottom for the members. In summary, the information for Apex reports comes from the security and accounting databases and the active and backup system logs. Apex provides reports for defense in depth, compliance, and general information. In contrast with other products reports, Apex reports are delivered automatically and they can be viewed dynamically. Apex report execution settings let you specify the data of interest using regular expressions, times, and other methods. And the settings for each report are tailored to the report's data. Thank you.